Hello. Today we're going to be going through Module 12 in Excel, and this is an important module. Covers a lot of great topics like recording macros, creating data validation messages, and protecting worksheets and protecting cells. These are things that are going to make your Excel workbooks a lot more user-friendly for the people that you're going to send them to fill them out. You know a lot about Excel, but the people you send these to may or may not. So you would hate to send them this spreadsheet and say, please fill this out, but they kind of mess it up. They accidentally delete a record. They might accidentally delete Emma. So you would want to protect the cells that you don't want people messing with. And also there's data validation. So they enter the dates that are within the parameters that you set and that sort of thing. This is a very important chapter. Good, you will definitely be using this as in your accounting career. So Module 12, Project 12B is what we're going to be working on. And when you open the file, it's important to read the instructions very carefully. It's even these first few about getting started, downloading the file, changing the name. It talks about these yellow bars you're going to see. This is a unique kind of workbook because it has macros in it. And macros are classically, they're a way that people send people viruses. A virus is basically a type of macro. So we want to be careful when somebody sends us an Excel workbook that it's a trusted person and we trust that they're not going to have a virus built into their macro. And we'll talk about what a macro is in a little bit. So be sure you read the instructions, whether you have a PC or a Mac, how to handle that. Also, you're going to have to add the developer tab if you don't already have it. I do. Okay, so be sure you do enable editing here. And then you'll also probably see another message, security warning, macros have been disabled. Well, we don't want that. We want the macros enabled. But don't enable them unless you trust the person who sent you the workbook, but you can trust me. We'll just enable content. Now the macros are enabled. Let's start with this. Will be a short project because there's only really 10 steps, and they're pretty quick steps. Step 1. This is something that I've never really done. I just haven't used it before, but we're going to go to the volunteer overview worksheet and, you're going to put some stuff in here. Now, this is what I failed to look at last time. I was going to add some word art in here, and you go to insert under text and notice that word art is grayed out. In fact, a lot of stuff is grayed out. The formatting, the fonts, what is going on here? Whenever you see a workbook where things are grayed out everywhere, probably the worksheet is protected. And be sure you read the instructions. It says right here, unprotect the worksheet. Okay, when I first did it, I didn't do that. I didn't read the instructions carefully enough. So just to do that, you go under home, format, and unprotect sheet. And now everything turns black and we can edit and do things. There's also unprotect cells. You can even protect cells within a worksheet. It's kind of strange how Excel works. But we'll get into that later, I think. Number two, we want to add some word art. So we'll go ahead and insert some word art. I don't know why we don't just type in what we need and then format the text as we like, but they want you to use word art. It needs to look like that. Festival volunteers. And of course, I could just type it in here, but we want to use word art. So we'll go to insert word art. And it says to pick brown accent color 4 soft bevel. This looks brown to me. Brown accent color for, yeah, that's the one. And then we can enter some text, and they want me to enter festival. Volunteers. And we want to change the text fill to brown accent for darker 25. Oh, okay. Just click on this. Make sure you're clicked on it. Or maybe we have to do this. I don't know. But text fill is right now it's at brown accent 4, but we want brown accent 4, darker 25. Lighter, lighter. There we go. Okay, that just made the text a little bit darker. All right, very good. And I guess it wants to move it up here. Move the word art to row 1 so it spans A through H. We'll do that. That up here, A through H, like that. They don't really specify exactly where it is, but I'm sure this will be just fine. Step 3, Kiara created a macro to insert a plain worksheet title and then attach the macro to the title button. She no longer needs the title button. So there is a macro here, title. Whenever you hover over something like this, notice when I'm hovering over this, it turns into a hand. That's an active button. Be careful before you click on it. Something might happen that you don't want to happen. That means it's a macro. So don't click it. This one, I'm hovering over it, nothing's happening. So this is just a button they inserted. Doesn't really control anything. But anyway, we don't need this. Now don't click it because it'll run some kind of macro. It may or may not, I don't know. But just right click it, please. Just right click it. There's not really a delete option here. You can just maybe just hit the delete key on your keyboard. That worked for me. So we deleted that. All right, we're on step 4, moving right along. Kiara plans to print the volunteer overview worksheet, this worksheet. She wants to use the print layout button, this button here, for printing. Record a macro that sets up the worksheet for printing. We did this all the time at Ernst & Young, where I worked. We had all kind of, spreadsheets sent to us by the client, and the partner always wanted them printed. So you'll notice that if we go to file print here, this is how it's going to look. Pretty bad, right? Festival volunteers. So it's split amongst 2 pages. We want to kind of fix that. And we would get like one of these sheets every week. So it was time consuming to go in and do all the options, right? Landscape, letter, whatever. So you can easily automate repetitive tasks by assigning a macro. A macro is just some tasks that we do repeatedly that we just want to do with a touch of a button instead of having to manually do them every time. So we're going to do a macro to do that. We're going to record a macro. We're going to call it print layout. I'm on instruction 4A right now. So again, go to the developer tab. If you don't already have the developer tab, you add tabs by going to options and customize ribbon. And you would probably see over here the developer tab unchecked. And you would just want to check it. Anyway, I've got mine. Go to the developer tab. Go ahead and click macros. You can see all the macros that we currently have. There's still an insert title macro. We just removed the button. But we want to do a new one called print layout. So just hit cancel. What you want to do is a record macro. And we got to give it a name. So we're going to call it print underscore layout. You can't have spaces in a macro name. We don't have to give it a description. You can. No, you can't. Don't do it because it might mark you wrong. You can also assign a shortcut key, like control, I don't know, Y or whatever, and that will also run the macro automatically. But we got a button here. Although the button's currently not assigned. We will do that later. So once you hit OK, the macro is recording. And you can see a little button down here at the bottom, the stop button, the little square. That's when we're ready to stop recording. Right now, we are recording. Don't be clicking around here willy-nilly. Don't click here, click there. It's going to record every move you make, everything you click on. It doesn't record this, swishing around, but everything I click on, every sheet, everything I do will be recorded. So don't do unnecessary steps. With the macro recording, click the File tab on the ribbon. Then click Print. See what I'm doing right now, it is recording. I'm formatting this worksheet for printing, and it's recording what I'm doing right now. Change the orientation to landscape. That's better, isn't it? Scaling fit sheet on page. Fit sheet on one page. So under scaling, we'll do fit sheet on one page. And then we can do other stuff if we want to, like margin stuff. But it's formatted for printing. That's all we needed to do. Don't go ahead and print it. If you click print, then it's going to print it every time you click that button. So we don't want to waste paper doing that. Of course, get out of here first before we stop recording. Just click there. And then we can stop recording. You can click stop recording here, or you can click the little square down here. Okay, so I've stopped recording. So let's go here to print. It's already printed. It's already formatted for printing because we just did it, right? We recorded it. So if I were to activate the macro, nothing would happen because it's already printed. But if I put a new sheet in here that isn't formatted and I click this button, it will format that sheet. So that's why we've done a macro. Kiara created this button, but she hasn't told it to do anything. So we'll just assign it to the print layout macro. So what you do is right click and assign macro to the print layout, the one we just created, this one, and just hit OK. Now click away. Now, if we click on it, it's going to run. So it just ran the macro. Yeah, it's formatted for printing. Guess what? It really didn't do anything because it was already formatted for printing. But you see what I'm saying. All right, we are done with step 5. We're on step 6. We're halfway done. Go to the volunteer records worksheet, where Kiara tracks volunteer assignments. She and her staff usually enter the volunteer details directly on this worksheet, but we're going to be distributing this or giving other people access to it, and we don't want them messing up our nice spreadsheet with badly formatted dates and stuff that's just wrong. As you can see, the gift choices are only cap, mug, and t-shirts. So I bet if I tried to enter hat, for example, it's not going to let me enter a hat. So this is a way of helping make sure the integrity of our worksheet is maintained. We don't have any hats. We have caps. We can't enter a hat. We can retry and enter a cat. We can misspell cat, but it doesn't want that either. So best just to select the drop. All right. Cap. There we go. Be careful when you do fool around like this. You don't want to change anything because you don't want Sam to mark you wrong. The date column. The festival begins on the 28th and ends on the 31st. So, and here's the volunteers. So people can only volunteer from the 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st. Now, as you can see through here, there's some dates that are not even during the festival. So Chi Tang here wants to volunteer May 20th, but the festival isn't even starting until May 28th. So we're going to add some data validation rules. Now, I would want to do it to the whole area so that when new volunteers are added, it would make sure it's right. But for some reason, the instructions are just saying C3 through C16. So we're just going to do it to this. And we want a data validation rule that accepts only date values between the 28th and the 31st of May. So what we do here is we go under data validation. Once this is selected, of course, data validation, and we want to allow date between 5/28 and 5/31. And then the input message, this is what will appear when they hover over the cell volunteer assignment date. And I wonder if I can copy and paste from the instructions. Yes, you can copy and paste. Don't forget the period though. You can copy and paste from the instructions. And then the error alert is the stop type. You can also pick warning, or information. We want to be pretty harsh about this because there is no festival on the 20th, so we don't want it to accept that date. Title for this is going to be invalid date. And the error message, I'm going to copy and paste it from the instructions to include the period. There we go. Now, when we hover over any of these cells or click on the cell, it's telling us a message. Enter the date of the volunteer assignment. It should say enter a date between May 28th and May 31st. But anyway. So don't you do this because no, I just want you to know. I'm going to try to enter here 5/10/24, and it doesn't allow it. It says enter a date between May 28th and the 31st. So 5/28. Then that worked. Again, don't be changing stuff because it's going to mark you wrong. I was just doing that to show you. And what we're going to do now is step 7. We want to see which of these dates are wrong. Of course, we can just eyeball it and see that there's 2 that are wrong. But if you've got a list of 500 of these, it's much better to use this functionality of Excel. So what we're going to do is we want to select the range and we want to go under data validation. Data validation. And we're going to circle invalid data. It's going to circle all the numbers that are not within the parameters, May 28th through May 31st. So this one and this one are bad. So we just want to fix them. It says this one should be the 28th of May. Notice how the circle goes away once it becomes a valid date. And this one is 5/30 instead of May 20th. So I just go up here and change this. And the circle goes away. We're on step 8, 3 more steps to go. Go to the volunteer registration worksheet. This is going to be kind of neat. What we're going to do is we're going to be entering the data here, and we're going to run a macro. We're going to protect this sheet so that the people at our company cannot enter stuff directly on here. They are going to go to this sheet and have access to these cells only. And type in the data here and then hit a button, and it's going to copy and paste it over here. Now you may ask, this is going down. If I copy and paste this to here, it's going to go down. But that's called paste and transpose. You can copy a up and down list like this and paste it here and have it go horizontally instead of down. So that's called paste and transpose, I think. Anyway, back to the instructions. PRA has created 2 macros to automate this form, but they're not working correctly. All right, so step 8A, open the clear data macro. Don't clear this because it will clear the data. Besides, it looks like there's no hand showing up. So if I click this, nothing's going to happen. The button hasn't been activated, has it? Anyway, to get to the macros, you just go to Developer, click on Macros, and you see a list of all of our macros, all of our automated processes. We're going to open the Clear Data macro, Clear Data. So click on it once and then do Edit. We're going to edit the macro. And that's kind of small, so you can click here and drag this open so it's bigger. But this isn't like, you can't format this, change the font or the size or anything. This is code. This is the closest you're going to get to computer code writing. This is the actual macro. It's a process of automated steps that we have recorded. And these have already been recorded, but we're going to make some changes. It says here, for example, this step here, the macro to clear data, we're going to click a button, this button, and this will just be cleared. So I guess we'll highlight the cells and get clear contents, or click the delete key. So let's see this macro, what this macro does. It anything in green is just descriptive. It's not part of the code. So the name of the macro is always here. And a macro is called a sub in Excel lingo. It just means the macro's name is called clear data. So we're going to select the volunteer registration sheet, which that is this sheet, and it's going to select range C3 to C9 and clear it. I'm sorry, but C3 to C9 is this skinny little cell with nothing in it. That is not right. The instructions tell us to change it to, say, D4 to D8. D4 to D8. So for this one, just click in there, change that to D4 to D8. That's what we want to do. So we want to select D4 to D8 and then click the clear key, which is indicated in Visual Basic Language with two sets of quotation marks, but that's the delete key. Okay. Scroll down to display the code for add volunteer macro. Okay, so we're done with that, I think. Let me read the instructions again. We don't want to leave anything out or skip a step. Step A, step B, change the statement. We did that, so we're on step 8C. Scroll down to display the code for add volunteer. That's this macro. The second macro key I created, this macro calls or runs the clear data macro at the end of the code, so it should now work correctly. Same code. Okay, it's not telling us to do anything. So I think we're good, yeah? So when you're done, you can just close Visual Basic. There's no kind of save. I don't think. Let's just see if everything I did is still in there. Edit. Yeah, D4, it still says D4 to D8, so it's still saved. It's saved automatically. Assign the clear data macro to the clear data. But right, here's where we, just maybe right click on this button, assign macro, and pick clear data. Is Luciana Flores already on the sheet? She isn't, but I guess we don't want her on there. Let me check the solution. Luciana Flores. No, she is not supposed to be on the sheet, so it's fine. Use the clear data button to clear the form. So the clear data just clears the data. So click it and it clears the data. It also puts the cursor back onto the cell so we can add the new name. So we are done with step 8. We're on step 9. Almost done. The add volunteer macro should copy the data. It's like I said, it's going to copy data and paste to this other sheet, like I told you earlier. Okay. Gotcha. So uh, she's already done the macro as we saw earlier, right? Add volunteer. Add volunteer. Yeah, see, it selects the data from D4 to D8, and then it copies, and then it goes to volunteer record sheet. It finds the next empty row, and then it pastes special transpose, see what it's doing, and that's it. So the macro is already there. We just need to assign it, just make a button for it. So we can just click a button. Yeah. So to do a button, it's kind of weird, but we go under developer and under insert right here. We pick the first little one on the left, button form control. And you are literally just going to try to draw a button. I guess make it about the same size as this, but they want it here. And of course, it's going to want us to assign it to a macro, which we can go ahead and do. We're going to assign it to the add volunteer macro. I think we're going out of order. It tells us to do this later, but I'll go ahead and do it now since it's asked me to. It's called button 3. Now, what we're going to do here is edit some of the properties of it. So step 9B, notice it's highlighted, see the circles around it. So I can go up here under developer. I saw it earlier. Right click, format control. I want to get the size of it right. It wants me to make it 0.3 high and 1.5 wide. I saw it earlier. Again, try not to click it. Like when you see the hand, be careful. There's nothing here to paste. So just don't, if you do anything, right click it. But I want to edit. Is it literally this easy? Say height. Oh, no. I know where it is. Here we go. If you click on it, so it's highlighted, go to drawing tools format. It's over here. So 0.3 high, 1.5 wide. That's what we want. Align the top and the bottom of the new button with the top and bottom of the clear data. I mean, there's no way to get it exact, but it looks pretty good to me. Edit the text to display add volunteer. I guess we just do this. Double click maybe. There we go. Just click in there, add volunteer, and click away. Stay away from this button. Do not click it. You see the hand, don't click it. Add volunteer, format the Rockwell 12. Again, right click, edit text, I guess, or highlight it like this. Here you just go under home, it says Rockwell 11. So we want it Rockwell 12. Makes it a little bigger. Click away. In this step 9, if it says assign the add volunteer macro, we did that first. But if it's not, then you would right click, assign macro, but it's already assigned to it. We did that already. And you can see because it turns into a hand, we hover over it. Insert this data here, and we're going to test this macro, and I'm going to show you how it works. So we've got Emma Johnson. Riverfront Park 5/30/24. Notice how I typed it like that, but it automatically formats it to the way it wants it. First, and 8 is not capitalized. Mug. Again, if you click in here and there's a little thing showing up, you can select the drop-down box. And okay, insert the data here. Then use the add volunteer button to add add it. So this is the last step. Are you ready? Click add volunteer. It cleared this. Well, first of all, see, look at that. It pasted Emma Johnson, not going down, but going across. And then it went over here and went it back, took it back to here so we can enter a new person. So we enter their info, type add volunteer. It clears it from here and adds them to the list. Pretty cool, right? Let's make sure we've got everything. I think we're done. Your workbook should look like the final figures on. Save your changes, close the workbook. It does not tell you to re-protect the worksheet, so don't re-protect it. But just to let you know, if I were doing this, I would protect it because I don't want people entering stuff directly on this sheet. I want them adding it here on this user-friendly form. Okay, I think that's all I have to say. The macros have a lot more wonderful uses than what we've just done here. These are pretty basic macros. People use macros all the time to do advanced financial analysis, and I kind of wish we had one of those in this chapter because you can do a lot with macros. But hopefully this will just show you that macros do exist and how to record them, how to edit them. So without anything else to point out, I guess I will end this lecture. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Have a nice day.